Breaking news. NASA researchers prepare for life on Mars under a dome in Hawaii. A new report states the incredible as 4 men and 2 women expect to spend 8 months in a dome on a Hawaiian volcano as part of a human behavior study designed to help NASA prepare astronauts for the journey to Mars. The 8-month journey to Mars is expected to be arduous, with its cramped conditions, isolation, and monotony. By simulating Mars-like conditions on Earth, NASA hopes to learn how to mitigate the challenges. On Thursday, the latest simulation began. 4 men and 2 women carefully selected from over 700 applicants moved into a vinyl-coated pod just below the summit of Mauna Loa, the world's largest active volcano. During their 8-month stay, which mimics the journey to and life on Mars, they will eat primarily freeze-dried foods, have limited personal space, and experience a 20-minute lag in communications, the length of time it takes a message to travel from Mars to Earth. Each simulation provides valuable data about the human experience, and the knowledge gained is integrated into future simulations. During this expedition, researchers hope to investigate how much self-direction the space travelers will need to promote group cohesion. Do they feel most positively toward one another under conditions of autonomy, or when instructions come from mission control on Earth? I think sending people to Mars would be an inspiring and valuable thing to do, so I'm happy to be able to contribute to the knowledge necessary for that to happen. Former simulation participant Zach Wilson told Space.com in an interview in 2015. In October last year, 2016, President Obama set a goal of sending humans to Mars and returning them safely to Earth by the 2030s. Elon Musk, CEO of Tesla and SpaceX, announced in June that he planned to send humans to Mars by 2024. And in September, ahead of his speech at the International Aeronautical Conference in Guadalajara, Mr. Musk released a simulation video detailing his plans to establish a city of 1 million people on the planet. Much of the technology that humans will need for the journey already exists. The new National Geographic miniseries, Mars, for which Musk was a consultant, spotlight some of these technologies, including ways to cultivate plants and recycle water. But the greatest challenges may be psychological, getting a small group of people to work together and remain productive while in a confined space over a long period of time. With that in mind, numerous programs worldwide have run simulations of Martian conditions, including the Houghton Mars project on Canada's Devon Island and the Mars 500 project in Russia. The Hawaii Space Exploration Analog and Simulation, HI-SEAS, at the University of Hawaii Manoa, which is running the simulation, is one of the most successful. After its first project, NASA gave HI-SEAS a $1.2 million grant for its next 3 missions, and continues to fund missions. This is the best and most obvious place to do this research, said Kim Benst of HI-SEAS in a University of Hawaii video, pointing to the similar geological conditions and the availability of top astronomers. Astronauts on these missions have tested out strategies for food preparation, worked to combat sensory deprivation, and grappled with the ever-present challenge of isolation. One thing researchers think might help: control. So the amount of autonomy that participants have will change over time, NPR reported. Researchers will keep careful track of how their moods and their relationships with other group members shift in response. All participants are equipped with instruments that measure their moods and proximity to others, according to the Associated Press. They can also try to improve their moods using virtual reality devices that simulate the familiar surroundings from which they are now distant. The goal of the simulation, to find the optimal combination of factors for maintaining the group's positivity and cohesion. That's important for any Mars mission, as well as current astronauts. Crew members on the International Space Station have experienced a drop in performance as a result of the isolation, the Christian Science Monitor's Joseph Dusso reported in August. Though researchers expect the latest simulation to bring new challenges to light, the simulations have left participants optimistic about journeys to Mars in the future. I can give you my personal impression, which is that a mission to Mars in the close future is realistic. Cyprian Versus, who participated in the last mission, High Seas 4, told the Associated Press. I think the technological and psychological obstacles can be overcome. Thanks for watching. Like and share, and don't forget to leave your comments. Aerospace scientists and astronauts plans to set up a beer brewery on the moon. According to NASA and other space bodies, one of the major disappointments of the Apollo 11 landing in 1969 was the discovery of the complete absence of beer on the moon. The situation may only temporary, though. A team of University of California, San Diego engineering students are working on an experiment to brew the first beer on the lunar surface, and it may fly by the end of this year. Finding a way to brew a pint on the moon may seem a bit frivolous to some, but there's a serious purpose behind it. While the UC San Diego team admits that it did start out as a bit of a joke, their reasoning is that if the fermentation of yeast, which is at the heart of brewing, can be carried out on the moon, it will not only be a boon to thirsty astronauts, but also the key to everything from baking lunar bread to creating sophisticated pharmaceuticals. The UC San Diego experiment, called Team Original Gravity, is one of the finalists in the LAB2MOON competition, a sub-competition held by India's Team Indus, which is sending a lander to the moon as part of the Google Lunar Surprise Challenge that's scheduled to launch on December 28th of this year. If you're expecting the students to set up a full-blown robotic brewery on the floor of a lunar mare, you'll be in for a disappointment. The experimental apparatus is only about the size of a soda can, and the laws governing unmanned probes mean that special precautions need to be taken to prevent biological contamination of the landing area. This means that the experiment is like one of those home brewing kits where half the work's already been done. Instead of taking hops and barley to the moon for brewing, the unfermented beer or wort will be pre-processed on Earth. This means that starting fermentation means simply bringing wort and yeast together and letting nature take its course. It may not seem the most urgent question currently facing space science, but a team of researchers has nevertheless launched a plan to find out whether beer can be successfully brewed on the moon. They say finding out how yeast behaves in lunar conditions is important for the development of pharmaceuticals and yeast-containing foods, like bread, in space. Rather than separating the fermentation and carbonation stages, as normally occurs during brewing, the team plans to combine them, thereby eliminating the need to release accumulated carbon dioxide which could endanger a spacecraft. Our canister is designed based on actual fermenters, said Srivatskalan, the team's mechanical leader. It contains 3 compartments. The top will be filled with unfermented beer, and the second will contain the yeast. When the rover lands on the moon with our experiment, a valve will open between the 2 compartments, allowing the 2 to mix. Once the yeast has done its job, a second valve will open to allow it to sink to separate from the now fermented beer. The team is one of 25 selected from a pool of 3,000 to compete for a spot for its experiment aboard the Team Indus spacecraft, which is set to launch on December 28th. Siddesh Naik, part of Team Indus, described the yeast study as among the coolest experiments to be performed on the lunar surface. Our canister is designed based on actual fermenters, says Srivatskalan, a 4th-year nano-engineering major and mechanical lead for the team. It contains 3 compartments. The top will be filled with the unfermented beer, and the second will contain the yeast. When the rover lands on the moon with our experiment, a valve will open between the 2 compartments, allowing the 2 to mix. When the yeast has done its job, a second valve opens and the yeast sink to the bottom and separate from the now fermented beer. Another simplification is that the canister combines the fermentation and carbonation phases into one. So it's a bit like bottle-conditioned beer, where the beer is allowed to continue fermentation in the bottle. According to the team, this simpler design eliminates the need to vent carbon dioxide, so it's more sanitary and avoids the sort of overpressurization that space engineers frown upon. Since there won't be anyone on the moon to taste the finished product, this emphasis on fizz may seem a bit pedantic, but it is necessary because the traditional way of testing yeast fermentation is by measuring density, which relies on gravity. Since the Moon has only a sixth of Earth's gravity, the team has opted for measuring pressure as an alternative. Converting the pressure buildup to fermentation progress is straightforward, as long as volume and original gravity, specific gravity before fermentation, hence our name, are known prior to the experiment, says Han Ling, a fifth-year bioengineering undergraduate. The UC San Diego experiment final prototype is scheduled to be evaluated by an international jury at Bangalore, India, in March. Thanks for watching. Share and don't forget to leave your comments.